computer.
Yeah, we can confirm that. And I guess just welcome to another Eliza Agent demos. We are doing a prediction market focus today. So we have Sapience and Okay.bet, two teams that are taking slightly different approaches to agentic prediction markets. Feels like there's a lot of kind of jargon in there, but agentic prediction markets. And yeah, we're going to be diving in just a few minutes. But yeah, look, let's just give it 5 to let people hop onto the stream. If you guys can give it a share as well, if anyone is listening, that would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, Ben, Noah, I mean, prediction markets, they've been around for a while now. Like, they're not new, right? But they've been, let's say, I don't know if it's true to say that they've been slowly growing in popularity. They've kind of, simmered for a while, and then they had their PMF moment probably like a year or two ago, and now they are the most popular crypto app in the industry, consumer facing crypto app, right? Which is interesting. We've had 2 huge raises recently, and it seems like if there's something that people understand, it's kind of betting on real world events, which is kind of cool, alongside stablecoins and maybe lending markets. So yeah, look, would love to understand what your, like, how did you get into building Sapience and Okay.bet? Like, what excites you about prediction markets? What do you see the opportunity to be, just to warm things up?
Yeah, totally. So I really got much more interested in prediction markets kind of running up to the election last year, which I'm sure a lot of people got on their radar as well. And digging into it, I think that to me, it really started to catch on in my mind of like, this could really like replace or supplement or fix the news, right? So, and you're kind of seeing that now. Like, people aren't turning to polls as much as they are turning to prediction markets on who's going to win the game, who's going to win the election, what's going to happen next. And I think that's like much better in terms of like finding an accurate representation of things. And then it comes to like, are these people just gambling? Are they forecasting? Like, is this a net good? And obviously, I'm working on something in this space. I really think it's for the best. And like, I think what happened recently, the election was one point, but now you're seeing the big inflow. And I think it was the legalization in the U.S. of Kalshi and like being able to offer sports. And I think what really happened the past month is just NFL season. And you're seeing a lot of liquidity like move into the rest of the markets from there.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I can jump in with a little bit of backstory on Sapience. Basically, myself and the co-founders really started building gas derivatives, expiring futures for block space derivatives. Coming out of, we were working on synthetics previously, and we saw like L2s and oracles wanted to hedge out those costs. And earlier this year, we realized like some of the demand for gas hedging sort of waned, but we realized we could use the technology to build all sorts of expiring futures markets. Like, we were coming out of building lots of on-chain perpetual futures markets, and prediction markets are effectively expiring futures, right? Or you can see them as binary options in some cases. So that's sort of what got us here. I mean, I think, as Ben was sort of mentioning, that like prediction markets have sort of hit the mainstream per se, but they've always been there, right? It's like sports betting, if you understand it as a subcategory of prediction markets, is massive. Yeah. CME has weather futures and events contracts. Like, this is nothing new. Yeah. But I think for the sort of crypto natives in the crypto space, sort of realizing that there are these markets outside of just betting on shit coins with leverage or whatever. If you're building forecasting agents to predict the future, and then if you're more accurate, you can profit from that. I think that's really what everyone's gravitating towards. There are positive externalities here, and it's not just speculation.
Yeah, I agree. I think like been working around the Eliza ecosystem for almost a year now, and was really excited to see the emergence of people playing with prediction markets. An agent is pretty good at understanding mass amounts of context and turning that into something that's maybe a signal or an output or something that a human might be able to take some action on. There's still some work to do with the groundwork, with the fundamentals of agents in general. I'm sure you guys would appreciate that, but there is premise in perhaps aligning the two, agents understanding heaps of context, giving insight into what that reward outcome might be, and perhaps how that interacts with prediction markets is quite interesting. So yeah, looking forward to diving in. And yeah, I mean, what do you see as the big opportunity? Like, what do you see in the big opportunity from what you're building? Whether there's like a specific vertical within prediction markets or the way you deliver it, or I think some of you looking like the way you kind of productize prediction markets as well. So yeah, would love to hear just general thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I guess I could start first. I think that like in the mainstreaming of prediction markets, I think like going past just gambling or just like sports or something, and really into like more financial derivative type products, like almost like options, insurance, futures and that type of stuff, and having prediction markets be like a simple way to eat away at like the more traditional versions of that. I find that fascinating, and I think like that's what's needed to make this like a mature financial derivative.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think the big breakthrough right now also is just in AI and agents in LLMs now, where like the vast majority of trading volume in traditional financial markets and like perps and spot markets for crypto are bots. It's automated trading, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, in the past, there has been some like sort of sentiment analysis based sort of light AI applications in the markets, but yeah, the big breakthrough now is that you can build these systems that are autonomously researching information, being able to do more sophisticated reasoning instead of just is this a positive or negative signal, and outperform humans. Like I think there's a project called Mantic AI that announced that they're like climbing the leaderboard on the Metaculus forecasting competitions. Which is a huge breakthrough. It's like there's going to be this watershed moment where like all of a sudden it's just like obviously an autonomous agentic system is going to be able to do a better job of predicting not just the weather but and financial markets, but really like any pressing problem facing society. And prediction markets are the mechanism to incentivize people to build those things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think in the short term, like the financial industry has been doing this for a while, right? So they have built systems, algorithmic trading, high frequency trading, whatever it might be. But really, that prediction market side seems like it's the big, like from what I look at the market, it seems like the big opportunity in terms of you can build an agent system that probably does outperform a human's ability to predict these real world events, because you have the power of that LLM and the context that you just can't process this much information as a human, but that agent can. So yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's good to see two teams emerging. Two different builders and two different ways of taking on the problem. So yeah, looking forward to diving in. I guess just to those listening, we've already had a question, so maybe Crypto Rubik, we could just answer that now. But yeah, as you're listening, feel free to pop in questions. We'll keep this conversation informal. The teams are going to both introduce their projects for a couple of minutes, go through a few slides, and then demo what they've built. And yeah, we'll spend about 15 minutes on each team, and then we can have informal Q&A and just take it as the conversation flows. So yeah, that's just what we're going to go through. And on that note, I mean, actually, let's answer this question first. So yeah, Crypto Rubik says, what is the ROI and winning rate of your bot's Sapience? Not to spoil anything. I don't know if that's in your presentation.
So we currently have boilerplates right now that are available for anyone to use. The benchmarks are limited. There's we're putting together the community-owned liquidity vault to sort of bootstrap liquidity in the system, similar to what Hyperliquid is set up. Cool. And in our we're running a competition right now on mainnet, but with test collateral, real prizes. So the game theoretic, like people are still making rational decisions, we think, and the bot is completely dominating. And so we're getting it wired up where anyone can also contribute liquidity to be on that side of it. But yeah, we're sure that very quickly the bots are going to be outperforming the button clickers. So.
Nice. Interesting. Cool. Well, look, yeah, Ben, I think you have your slides ready to go. I'll bring them in.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, let's go through Okay.bet. Let's dive in.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Ben. I'm working on Okay.bet. Generally, I'm doing applications on top of prediction markets. This specific foray, it's thanks to a grant between Eliza and Polygon. and I've developed, agentic prediction market ETFs. And so let's kind of go into that. So basically, some background we were just going over. I see prediction markets as the next newspaper, right? Instead of, you reading an opinion piece that someone wrote, very narrative driven, top down, you look at a price. If you disagree with it, you could be paid for that, right? Like you will be financially rewarded for being correct. And as a result, these forecasts end up being more accurate. So if we go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So basically, like today in prediction markets, there's three types of participants, or basically markets in general. And currently here we have the sharps. They've been there the whole time. They're like the nerds. They make their own models. They really care about this. And they're making the extremely rational plays. It's like the Nate Silvers or the Civs or the big investment firms, or it sounds like Sapience is making their own sharps. And what you have that recently got here, which is, thanks to the popularity, is the gamblers, right? And they want the high upside, but they're kind of a little bit of the tourists, the retail. They're in it for entertainment as much as like a return. But, they have a high churn rate. They'll churn out. I think we've seen this with like internet poker, NFTs, meme coins, where there's an entertainment factor, and it kind of gets chopped up. What's missing, I think, to like make this sustainable is the investors. The people come into the market where, even though it's a zero sum, for every yes, there's a no. They have, they have investments and capital in other places that they can come to the prediction markets to offset. And this would be kind of like insurance companies, stocks, that type of stuff. You can kind of think of it if you have a house in New York City, you're very invested in that real estate going up. You can go in prediction markets and hedge it in New York related markets, like the election of whoever, the crime rate, all these types of events. That would make a sense for investment for you that you may not need to like win the market outright, right? So kind of what I'm developing here is prediction market ETFs. So basically, I promised Keck I wouldn't make a complicated diagram, but I lied. So the front end and the server, that's all closed. But from there, you're going to have a smart contract that funds an agent, and that's kind of just a vault contract. And there are going to be some tie-ins to 5, in order to like broadcast that. But basically, the agent's deployed. It uses it comes up with its address, and it has a predetermined model. Either like a trading model, or someone comes up with an index of like, okay, execute on this assortment of markets, and it does that. And it's all non-custodial, right? Like you buy in shares of the vault. And after that time period, you get the money back out. So it allows you to use different strategies and kind of be very portable. So kind of like to drive this point home, I came up with 5 template agents. So the first one was the Pamela. That was like the first framework, and this is much more interactive. Like it's a chat bot. You tell it to buy things, it'll consider it. It'll buy. And then this is something you could use like more DAO managed. You pay per tokens, that type of thing. A community bank. The next is, I call it Chalk Eater, but basically it only bets on the heavy favorites. It's a very simple model. I wouldn't, fully recommend going in on it. But basically it's to show you that like you can come up and deploy your own trading models and have anyone, invest in it that way. And then the last 3 are basically just index funds. And so the people making the indexes could be separate from the agent executing it. And as long as it's reading it kind of like a recipe, of like, okay, buy these 10 markets at this ratio, it'll go out and try to do that. And so examples of what you could hedge is, nothing happening, global stability, Trump policies, Democrats winning, and kind of how that affects the world. And if you have different investments in other places, maybe you have options, maybe you have stocks, maybe you're investing in construction, that could make sense to you to hedge on. So I think a key thing with ETFs, like it's not just about number goes up, it's about number goes up if I'm right about this trend, right? And it's more about capturing the trend.
Is there any
human kind of the status of it? Right now it's proof of concept demo. We're here. After that, it's gonna be much more beta testing, and I need auditing. And then after that, MVP. I'm definitely looking for help if you want to make an index, make a model, audit, type of thing. I'd love to talk to you. Now I can go over to the website if I figure out how to share that. We talk about that. I guess I just went off for a while. I don't know if there's any questions or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the templating idea is quite interesting. So is that something that the user would modify as they come into the platform? Would they choose their strategy and select which agents they want to work with, turn that into an ETF, or like how does that kind of
Yeah,
onboarding
I think you
experience
should
work?
think of it as like back of the house and the front of the house.
Yeah.
So the front of the house will choose between indexes or agents or whatever, and they would just basically buy shares or buy into it, right? The back of the house are the people making these agents and models, and they could be deploying their own that they would then try to attract investment.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me try to share my screen.
Yeah, if you show your screen, if you just show your web browser, I can drop this out. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you see it over there?
There you go.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, here's the main page of the website, and I have kind of like the template indexes up because indexes are kind of like an easier one to work on.
Yeah.
And then if you see like, okay, if I invest $100, I could follow this index myself. If I buy these shares, and it's not representative, just demo, but you could press the invest button and kind of pull into that ERC, and then each of them have like their own Eliza OS agent tied to it, so you can go on Telegram and like follow the status of it and talk to it and ask about the market and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And we have that for each of those, so like a weighted average price, and then kind of like what's in it, which I think is pretty interesting. The other would be like, this is kind of the back of the house making a fund. So you can make a fund off of like any of these indexes that you can then update later. But the thing is like, you're not holding the assets in the fund. It's basically like you making the index for it that the other people would invest into. And then you can also do like the strategies. And right now, we only have 1 or 2 preloaded, and just kind of deploy a strategy that then people would invest into. Okay. All like so basically like this agent execution, the person kind of sets up the conditions.
Yeah. So you have like operators of the ETFs, then they would promote their own strategy, or they'd spend some time on their strategy.
Yeah. So you can kind of think of it like in TradFi. I'm sure you've heard of the S&P 500. They have an index you could buy, just SPY. And there's one company that just their whole job is like coming up with this index. Like, when do we add the 500 stocks? How do we proportion it? That type of thing. And there's another company that then goes and executes and buys those stocks.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the second one.
Yeah. No, interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. And
yes. Oh, go ahead.
So go ahead. Don't let me cut in.
Yeah. So then the other side of if we're making an index, let's do the popular Trump guy. We could search the markets. We make our own index group type here if it loads up, and then you can kind of set up whatever ratio you want here in the chart, and kind of say like, I want more of Trump out as president and less of removing H-1B people, and kind of having it that way. But it's just kind of like a handy tool to kind of better understand where I'm going with that.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with the comment. It just looks sleek. UI looks great. So where I've seen you put your plugin together, God, it was 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That come in. So like, where are you at now with where are you at in the kind of roadmap, or where are you at in the build?
Yeah, totally. So basically everything needs to work together. So where I'm at now is like I have an agent. The agent can go out and buy stuff. Obviously, can get better at buying stuff. Now the big thing is like deploying the agent somewhere like more protected. Like we could do the fallow T or whatever. Maybe like an eigenlayer T, maybe a decentralized T. Digging into that more, and then the other kind of like biggest hurdle right now is the contract. Like getting that up to a level of maturity that I could trust people putting money into, which is kind of a bigger deal. But after that, it's just softening the hedges, polishing it out, finding partners that want to make indexes, want to launch agents, or want to invest, all different sides of it. But yeah, long story short, I think the agent could be a little bit more smooth, but the contract is like the least developed part right now.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess if you're testing the agent still to fine tune it, let's be realistic. It does take a while to make sure that it's performing how you want it to, right? So,
of course.
Nice. The contract in theory, I'm not saying it's easy, but should be quite straightforward, right? The ETF is the agent.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically
ETF.
just a vault contract, and then the 8005 we put on that too.
Okay.
But yeah, just testing it, trying to break it before giving it to people.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's a few questions coming in. Mainly from YouTube. So yeah, so the bots basically choose a bunch of bets relating to a market, Trump, for example, and then the market will say Trump, broader market, will Trump meet China. Yes, essentially that. So I don't know if you can.
Yeah. So I guess there's a couple different ways to look at it. You can have managed indexes, and then you can have like automated trading, right? So the managed index would basically be like, I select these markets at these ratio, and depending on the parameters that you set for the agent, like maybe there's not enough liquidity in market A, maybe market B is already settled, but it's going to go out and try to buy a portfolio of like these markets, right? And you can call it something Trump related, or it should match a theme, and you're kind of working with a person to like make that index. The other one is kind of how we think of agents of like, okay, let's give it a strategy. It's going to go out. It's going to execute on this alpha. It's going to do this EV, and it's capable of doing that. But that's kind of not what I leaned into first in explaining it.
Yeah.
And then like lastly, it's like more interactive. Like if you could talk to the agent like you talk to Pamela, it'll just buy whatever you tell it to. Or I mean, we can gate that with something. But basically, I think you can think of it as like 3 different ways of executing this.
That's interesting. So there's like augmented, people can come in, take, let's say, tips from Pamela. Let's say you're a really big fan of basketball in the US and you want to have Pamela give you prediction markets. Then there's a fully automated, that's one play. And then the second play is basically set up your vault and have it fully automated, and then or deploy into someone else's vault.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah, Noah, do you have any questions? We've not done this before, but do you have any questions for Ben? Out of interest. We don't normally have a theme on these things, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks good. We're also developing a vault system, plug and play. So it's I agree that there are people that want to actively participate in prediction markets, but there's a huge group of people that would love to passively participate in prediction markets. So figuring out how to tap into them and like pull them in is a major part of the game. Obviously, prediction markets are much more difficult to participate in passively because they end where either the yes tokens or one half of it sort of ends up worthless. So it's harder to do it passively, but having a system to delegate to other active participants is the way to go.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm with you completely now.
That's just nice. Yeah. So one of the questions, how do you do settlement? I guess that means settlement at the market, not the ETF, but maybe you could answer both.
Yes. So basically like the ETF of the index, if we're talking just index, like that's something that needs to be like semi-actively managed, by another group, right?
Yeah.
You can't just say like, hey, we're going to buy these 5 Trump things. Eventually, it's going to settle at a certain number, right? Of like this market closed and these just all fell out. The idea is like you just like any other ETF, like you're constantly adding and removing markets, that type of thing. So it's less of like holding it forever. It's going to go up forever, and it's more of just like hedging a certain period of time.
Okay, nice. I think that covers that question. Another question is, do you have a treasury with? Do you have a treasury? I guess that means for these agents. One that would compound as it wins and buys and burns any token, let's say OK token.
Yes. So that's going to be like the vault, right? So you're going to invest in the vault. Let's say you put $10,000 in there, and it goes out and trades from that vault. And after that, it kind of liquidates the vault. So currently, how I'm thinking of like just starting this out is basically like the agents are doing like a certain time period, right? Like 3 months, 6 months, a year. After that, like it liquidates its holdings, and then people cash out. We could dig in later and have it like maybe go indefinitely, but it's more like the technology of agents is advancing so much that I don't really want to lock it in indefinitely.
Yeah, it is kind of moving quite quickly. And then, I mean, a good question as well. Do you feel these orders in poly market or looking into PMX and other markets? I'm not familiar with PMX, but I guess just any other prediction markets.
Yeah, totally. So right now I'm on poly market, and mostly because it's the deepest liquidity, very open, easy to integrate. I'm also I'm not tied to just Polymarket. I don't think anyone should be. Especially like you could probably do index of like the same election, 5 different markets, and kind of hedge market, prediction market risk. So basically, I've also integrated with Limitless and been able to buy through there. I've looked into the true markets and that type of stuff, and PMX I think is a little bit recent. But basically, I'm not tied into anything. Polymarket's just first because it's the biggest.
Yeah, nice. Ben, thank you for diving in. I think this question I'll put to you both. Now I'm looking forward to learning more about Sapience as well. But is there any standards that you think you could create around this type of type of prediction market use case? Anything that you think others might be able to learn from, or frameworks that you could create?
Yeah, sorry, I can go first if that's okay. So I kind of like developed a agent framework of Pamela. That's kind of a little bit ad hoc. I don't know, especially as it's software, it could be very fluid. But I think there's a better opportunity for standardization is in the markets themselves. Having all the data types the same with like ticker numbers, the condition, like how it's written, closing date, like just kind of data types on that side. I think it'd be interesting. I feel like some people are working on a layer on top of that, but we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, and Noah or Theo, before you guys jump into the presentation, do you see any standards emerging around this type of product and what you've been building?
I tend to be sort of skeptical of like the widely adopted standards is like ERC20 NFTs, right? 721. Like it's pretty limited. Like I think tokenization is an important thing to standardize. I actually co-authored ERC 7412 for Oracle standardization. So there's I think the Oracle problem here, the whole industry inside and outside of prediction markets should sort of get on the same page about oracles. I think it's a long story, but I think the Ethereum Foundation has been sort of resistant to the Oracle. Like it's complicated, but I think the biggest win I think for Ethereum would be doing more standardization around oracles. But yeah, outside of that, I don't see too much specific to prediction markets because they're like spot markets that expire. So that's according to the Oracle. So that's really all you have in common there.
So it's a question I actually had. I mean, I spent 4 years working in the Oracle space, so I guess familiar with how UMA operates and just optimistic governance, etc. And I guess does that become a dependency of both of these platforms? Like are you somewhat looking at UMA, or let's say just remove UMA, any optimistic Oracle underpinning these markets? How do you assess that risk? Well, what do you think needs to maybe shift, or what could be done better there, perhaps? As we move to agents, there's this whole. So the side note to this as well is this whole, are agents oracles? Like the output of agents could be a data point that executes a prediction market or decides something, which. That's another interesting angle. Like the infrastructure behind this might evolve as the products actually evolve as well. Is my other train of thought. I don't know if you agree or think that's absolute drivel.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that the way that agents play into the Oracle system is the main win I think is that you can come up with more objective settlement standards for otherwise subjective questions. So instead of saying is Zelensky wearing a suit, you can say, given these inputs on this future date, will this open weights model say that Zelensky is wearing a suit? And then it's less just up to the whims of the UMA whales. Outside of that, I think it sort of becomes part of the product of the prediction market, where if I'm going to participate in this, I'm told up front the way this is going to be settled is through this particular process. And you could even run 2 markets on the same question, and people may choose to participate or one and the other, knowing that a different source of truth will be used as the resolution there.
Interesting. Have you been playing with agent governors in that process at all? You have to been looking at that.
I've seen them be used in a few different prediction market products, but I don't think anyone has quite found a great PMF with it. But I think, like Noah was saying, and also related to, you shared this ERC 8004 with us yesterday, and I was reading up on it, and I do think that, you know, along this line of AI agents being, you know, oracles for prediction markets, you know, if there was a mishap, essentially you could choose between different models, and the trust score of that model would be reduced, you know, in the event where there was some mishap. And so over time, you could really narrow in on the best models for this kind of purpose. You know, maybe it ends up being some legacy model that we keep around longer because it's really good at settling markets or whatever. So yeah, I do think that there's a great like fit there for this more like nascent AI standard that you shared with us. But yeah,
interesting. Yeah, interesting. A little bit off piste, but yeah, it's an interesting thing to talk around. Yeah, Ben, look, thank you so much for running through Okay.bet. Looking forward to seeing what's next and where it's all going to go. I guess Noah, I believe yourself will be presenting and diving into Sapience. I don't know if you want to share your screen and we can kind of have a run through.
Yeah, let's. I can maybe walk through the app real quick, and then Theo's going to do a demo of the of the builder side of this.
Cool, sounds good.
Let's see. Are we you've got the app there.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So welcome to Sapience.xyz. Yeah. So basically, well, I'll just do a quick run through the site here. Here's the main prediction market index page. And the main thing to highlight here is that our main system runs on an RFQ system. If you're familiar with Intense or CowSwap, then it's more along those lines than like Uniswap or a perps market. And so basically the way this works is that you can select whichever outcome you'd like to predict on. And you can also create parlays by creating custom combinations here. And the big win here is that we don't need passive liquidity for every single combination here. You're basically just saying, I'd like to wager this amount on this particular set of outcomes or this outcome. It goes over an open source relayer, and then any other bot, agent, human can come back with the best odds, and it creates effectively an auction to give you the best odds possible for the outcome you want. The big insight here is basically that liquidity is very thin for these prediction markets, understandably. Like maybe Fed rates, maybe presidential elections can trade sort of like a liquid spot market, like Bitcoin or whatever. But primarily, prediction markets are very long tail, right? And so this RFQ system, the liquidity model feels almost more like NFTs than it does like Bitcoin or something, right? So you're able to create these more long tail predictions and create a market for them using this model. We also do have spot markets available that we can put up the longer term, like, you know, rates or whatever on, but this is the primary system. It's also great for agents because in this system, you can have an agent effectively listening for wagers that people want to place, and say, okay, well, it can react to that inbound request basically, and then offer up the odds, and the user can choose to take them or not, right? And alternatively, agents can work the other way, right? Where it's like if there's a news event or just it can perform some research and then send a message over the relayer and say, give me the best odds possible, wait 10 seconds, and then sort of effectively settle the auction by accepting those odds. So you can see that here. The leaderboard, as I mentioned, this is for the testnet competition. It's real collateral, it's fake collateral, but real prizes. So the test USDE here. You can see that this vault is winning. I think not all of the winnings have even been claimed. I think it actually might be an even larger edge here. And then we're allowing anyone to deposit collateral to be managed by that bot, sort of similar to what Ben was saying of like having these vault systems here. And then we're allowing user vaults as well for that sort of like ETF style management piece of it. One last thing to highlight here is the forecasting tab. So using the Ethereum attestation service, like all existing public goods here, without wagering any capital, you can just have an agent make forecasts, right? Like if you think, or if your agent thinks that there's a 60% chance something's going to happen, that effectively means it thinks 60 cents is a good price for a yes contract, right? So it's sort of a small step from forecasting to wagering there, but just to get the ball rolling, you can deploy an agent that's going to make these predictions, and then the leaderboard will also show an accuracy score. Which it's an inverted horizon weighted Breyer score. It sounds a little heady, but basically, like if I estimate, or the bot estimates, that there's an 80% chance of something happening today, and then it does actually happen, I would have gotten a better score if I said 90%, or if I made an 80% estimate a week ago. So it's rewarding you to be more confident, more accurate, and if you're able to do that, or your agent is able to do that further from the settlement time, that's also rewarded. So whether or not these agents, bots, accounts switch over to participating in the markets with real collateral, it's still a strong signal for other prediction market participants. You could build a sort of a copy trade bot on a non-money forecasting project, yeah, so I'll pause there. Maybe Theo can take over on the demo and walk us through the docs and see what it takes to get a forecasting agent up, or I can take some questions.
Yeah. Do you have this is public, right? So this is a public beta that people can go get hands on with right now.
Yeah. You'll need to hop in our Discord and request collateral to the test collateral we're using for this round. We anticipate having USDE as collateral by the end of the year.
Okay.
And yeah, just want to emphasize, we're really excited about getting builders on board. We already have a lot of app users in this competition playing, and so there is flow for you to like deploy a bot and have people to trade with. So
awesome. Is there we should get a code and drop it into the Eliza community, and see if people can give it a go ASAP.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can reach out to the team directly. We'll give you a lot of hands-on support getting agents stood up.
Sounds good. There's a few questions which we can, if you don't mind, Theo. Do you have a token at the moment, and where are you building the ecosystem? I guess that means network wise.
No token. We're currently live on Arbitrum mainnet, and we're building within the Athena ecosystem. So we're going to have USDE as the primary collateral. And yeah.
That's nice. And another question is, what are your numbers? What is the ROI and winning rate at the moment? I guess that's the leaderboard information, right? I guess that varies on how the vault performs and what's not.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on who is we in this case. Like as I mentioned, the initial liquidity vault that we're building and basic strategy is currently on top. But I to cite these particular numbers as the performance while we're in the competition might be a little much. But everything's public and on chain, so you can just hop in and see how all the accounts are doing.
How long has that competition been running for?
This is our third round, and this one's been running we're reaching the end of the second week of 3 for this one, I believe. Okay,
nice. Interesting. It's pretty good profit. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like as we get more participants too, we're going to see better odds for and more competition. We're going to see better odds for the users as well. So it'll be exciting to see how this develops over time. Yeah, feels like real DeFi, watching the accounts and how they're bidding, and people trying to reverse engineer it and undercut them, front run them, things like that.
Yeah. Just to the question, Rubik. So if you had to say a number for ROI and winning rate, so this operates on a vault basis. So it's the operator of the vault and how they set up the strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Noah. That dictates the winning rate of the prediction market. I guess you don't have a standard ROI figure from what you're communicating.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, from this particular vault, that is currently you can see it's the maker on most of the parlays right now.
Yeah,
that we're tying the vault into. You can just, like any other account, you can just go to the profile page. You can see what it's taking, what the odds are, how it's.
That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't win every time, but it's still positive ROI. I mean, it's a good thing. It would be suspicious if it was always winning. Yeah.
I mean, you might have cracked UBI as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, looks awesome. Noah, sorry, Theo, I'll bring up your web browser and we can switch over if that's okay.
Yep. Cool. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. Okay, cool. There you go. On your getting started page.
Yeah, so here we are. I'm going to walk everybody through setting up a bot on Sapience, or an agent rather, to start forecasting and as well as participating in the markets. So this getting started page is on docs.sapience.xyz. You'll hop into the builder guide section. A lot of this, if you have ever written code, will be pretty self-explanatory, at least this first getting started page. So it tells you, but it's also kind of made for anybody. So if you're not a coder, don't be scared. You should be able to get an agent running without any issues, and we're also here to support you. So first off, walks you through setting up an IDE. We recommend Cursor, and then an Ethereum account, generate a private key using pass, etc. Walking through get setup, open router for your agent API key, and then setting up your Railway account, which will be important for deploying your agent in one click, which takes about 5 minutes, like we advertise. So next up, this doc is to deploy your forecasting agent. So the thing that you would do is basically click this one button. Makes it very easy. You would hit deploy now, and you would enter your open router API key and an Ethereum private key, which you have to send a few bucks on Arbitrum, by the way, for gas, and hit deploy. So I'm not going to do that now because I can't reveal my private key, but it would essentially take you to a page that looks like this. It would take about 5 minutes to build and deploy, and then your forecasting agent will be up and running. And so after that, you'll be able to step into the logs and look at your agent, which should run immediately off the bat. You can see mine here has been making forecasts. It runs about every 12 hours on markets that it hasn't already made a prediction for. And if it also changes its forecast, it will send another forecast out. And so actually, if we scroll down, we can kind of see a lot of people were asking for ROIs and how accurate my bot was. Well, I haven't changed it much since from the boilerplate code that we provide. What you see on the right, this no or yes, was the outcome, and on the left was the forecast. So the first one I got wrong, but then it gets pretty much everything right after that. So actually the bot is pretty good on its own. Here's another one that's wrong. For the most part, though, it's hitting. And this is, again, just off of our boilerplate code. So anyways, let me go back to the docs really quick just to show you what else you have to do. Here are the environment variables. These ones are required. There's the router key and the private key, like we mentioned. Here's some more optional environment variables. Down here, if you want to enable the parlay trading, you have to set this value to true. You can set the wager amount. We recommend just like $1 at the beginning. So essentially, with every forecast, if the trading confidence is greater than 60% or like lower than 40%, your bot will make a $1 wager on that market. So then the rest of the docs walks you through ejecting the repository from Railway into your own personal GitHub account. So you would just walk through these steps, which then it allows you to edit your agent's code. Let me share my IDE really quick so I can just show you guys the file.
Gonna add it on.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, you can see my VS Code window here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So here we're in the starters / Eliza OS repository, which is what will eject into your personal GitHub when you perform that step that we just talked about. And so inside of this character.ts file, we have essentially our agent's personality. So you can see here in the system prompt, we have like a very straightforward, you are a forecasting agent, provide calibrated probability estimates for questions in prediction markets. But you can come in here and basically edit all of this text. And so you have the bio, the lore, topics, adjectives. And eventually, we see people kind of having fun with this. And so I made a character that was, specifically in our boilerplate, it says like a lot of, you're like a quantitative researcher, do not use any mysticisms, like do not share anything that is not based in fact and logic. And so I kind of made like a fun one, which was like a drunk agent that is very mystical. So like quite the opposite. And so kind of creating characters around your agents and then participating in the our competitions, you'll be able to see these different characters, these different agents participating with different flavors and personalities. I think this could end up being quite fun with like, the drunk Martin Shkreli agent ends up being more profitable than, the very like thorough researched quantitative ones. And so, yeah, so we recommend you to basically hop in here. Anyone can do this. You don't need to know how to code. All you need to do is edit the prompts for your agent. So moving back over. So essentially that's the beginning of this. And then as you move down in our docs, you'll get to the next step, which is making your agent trade. And so at the moment, I'm currently deploying I'm updating the Railway template so that you'll get this right out of the box. So essentially by the end of the day, this will be out of the box. All you need to do is turn on that env variable. But if you go in right away and you beat me to it, hop in here. We give you the boilerplate code to connect to our WebSockets to get some RFQ for the parlay system, and then place a bet once you get the best price for your auction. Then moving on, we have the same for market making. And if you wanted to trade spot, boo, but go ahead. We have our templates and guides for that as well. And so I showed you briefly my bot's predictions, and Noah showed you the leaderboard, but let's look at it again now that you see. So mine's been up for 2 days. I'm already number 5 on the leaderboard, looking to climb up, but it seems like we have a 4-way tie for first place essentially. But yeah, so there should be real rewards for the bots in this competition. And so it's free to set up. It takes 5 minutes, and you have full-on support from the Sapience team. So cool. Yeah, we encourage you guys to come in here and set up a bot. It's on docs.sapience.xyz.
Nice. Very cool. And so that configuration of the agent on the setup, like, what have you guys played with so far, and what have you seen maybe makes a big difference in terms of performance? Or like, I don't want to give away any alpha for the competition, but what how does that start to look like when you tweak things?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say a big difference would be like the model that you choose as well.
Yeah.
And so you could go like really high end, and you'll end up spending a lot more API tokens, but you also might get a more accurate amount of research done by the bot versus like you choose like a Fora mini or whatever, and it costs basically nothing to run, but it might be a little bit more erratic. But Noah, sorry, if we could go ahead and fill in the rest. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's spot on. Like, one thing I've noticed from experimenting with it is that some of the models will tend to gravitate towards like if you're asking a number out of it for the probability, it'll just give you either 60 or 40%. Sometimes you need to push it to like be a little more specific, or there's a little bit of tweaking there. I mean, I think long term, the way you get edge is by developing a more sophisticated system that's gathering signals into the context that it's able to process. So it's not simply just like ask GPT-5 with web search what it thinks, but building your own systems that are picking up their own signals to give you an edge.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with one of our ecosystem projects, Compute, last night or yesterday. We're looking at this holistically, like how do markets evolve on chain and how do agent operator markets evolve on chain. Like it could literally be a race to who has the most compute, who has the best inference, who has the best models. Like that may be the deciding factor that people find those edges on in the future. It's interesting you say that. Is there anything else, like from a setup perspective, that you think, like the way that you set up the character file, or the way that you I don't know, MCP servers of different news articles that help you gain insights into different topics, or is there anything like that that could be configured by somebody?
I think one like tiny piece of alpha I haven't tested it out, but is that Grok would be way better for crypto specific predictions.
Yeah.
Just because it can index Twitter. That's not like a major secret or anything, but I would like to check that out and see how it performs against the rest of the models.
Nice. Yeah, Grok's also cheaper, right?
I think so, yeah. But honestly, like I've been doing this for a few days and using 4.0 Mini, and I think I've spent like less than a penny, and it's made
Really?
a couple dozen forecasts. So it's really not costing very much.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
I'd echo also that like within the prediction market community, it's well known that like people carve out an edge and like by having a niche or a specific category, right? Like figuring out the probability of rain in New York tomorrow is just a whole different ball game than figuring out if the Bills are going to lose or something, right? So I think another angle here is that it's not so much coming up with like the right model to use or the right prompt, but really diving into one specific type of market is more likely to give you an edge.
Nice. Interesting. I don't have any more questions myself. Ben, do you have any questions? We don't normally have teams who are building in the same area on. So yeah, do you have anything for the guys?
No, it's just it's really impressive. I love the parlay idea, and I'm excited to see it go further.
Nice. Yeah. Other question from Crypto Rubik. Why do you choose Arbitrum?
Why? I mean, as a general purpose chain, it's it currently has the most DeFi going on an L2. There's a chance we'll be rolling out to different rollups or other L3s within the Arbitrum ecosystem, sort of pending other Athena ecosystem projects plans.
It works, doesn't it, Arbitrum? It's trustworthy. Good DeFi ecosystem. But yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
We're
No, we're not protecting. No tribalism here. It's okay. And yeah, I guess just to reiterate the point, Crypto Rubik, there is a leaderboard. It sounds like you found it. So the leaderboard is showing the output of the vault performance. When you click through, you can see the alpha. Well, not the alpha, but the overview of the trade. And then they trades the settlement of the prediction markets. It sounds like you found the data, but yeah, each vault will have a different ROI depending on how it's set up. That's kind of the crux of what you guys are doing, right? But yeah, we should definitely get some sort of invite link and get people to test it out in production and see what we can do to kind of get some beta testers into the platform. But that was awesome. So thank you so much both for the dives in. I don't have any more questions, so let's call that a wrap. And yeah, thank you so much.
Great. This is a blast. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
It's on Discord.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Guys. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.